They say love doesn't vanish with age. Maybe it's true, but as my summer in the Hamptons began, I figured those feelings desire, hope, connection were buried deep, preserved with memories of David, my husband, gone now. Life had settled into a calm, predictable rhythm, solitude filled days tending to the rose garden, losing myself in books, reflecting on a life that, while full, felt like a chapter closed long ago. Then he arrived, David's nephew, Ethan. Supposed to be a familiar face, someone to help me through the summer, fixing loose shingles and tackling the endless list of chores David always handled. But from the moment he walked through the door, something shifted. Something stirred within me, something I thought I'd laid to rest. Summer days stretched, filled with laughter, whispered secrets, moments I hadn't felt in years. And just as it felt like a secret world, just for us, Maya, my daughter, arrived. Watchful eyes, her own memories of this place, unspoken questions about what was happening between me and the man who was once just a nephew. Looking back, I wonder how I let myself get swept away, how a single summer could change everything. But if there's one thing I've learned, time does little to bury the past. Now, sitting on this quiet beach, I wonder if what we shared was a gift, or the worst mistake of my life. The house in the Hamptons had always been a place of echoes. Every summer, David and I would vanish here, escaping the city's relentless pulse. It was a simple place, nestled amongst dunes overlooking the vast, restless ocean. Even now, a year after David's passing, the house held fragments of him, his worn leather armchair, the jazz records he'd left scattered, the leaky faucet he'd promised to fix, but never quite got around to. When Ethan offered to help with repairs this summer, I was touched by his thoughtfulness. David's nephew, earnest and kind, had always looked up to his uncle. In a way, he was a living reminder of the man I'd loved for so long. I welcomed the company, thinking it would be nice to have someone else around to break the silence. Ethan arrived early, his SUV pulling into the driveway just as I was pouring my first coffee. He unfolded his long frame, a grin flashing that instantly warmed me. He resembled David in subtle ways. The dark hair, the quick smile, the confident way he moved. "Aunt Eleanor," he called, waving as he grabbed his bags. "Hope I'm not too late to get started?" I laughed, stepping onto the porch. "Not at all. There's enough work here for both of us, trust me." Over the next few days, we fell into an easy rhythm. Ethan tackled the roof, while I managed smaller tasks inside, occasionally joining him to hand tools or chat about his life back in the city. He told me about his demanding job, his friends, his future plans, his words filling the air with youthful energy. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the ocean gold, we sat on the deck. We shared stories about David, his quirks, his stubbornness, his gift for making anyone laugh. Ethan's laughter was easy, but there was a depth to it, a hint of his own grief. "He always talked about this place," Ethan said, his voice soft. "He loved it here. Guess that's why it feels important, being here with you." His words resonated, stirring memories I thought were buried deep. "He'd be so proud of you, Ethan, and grateful to see you here, helping out." We sat in silence, watching the ocean's gentle rhythm. I felt a strange warmth, a connection that was both comforting and unsettling. Ethan had grown up, his presence familiar, yet different. For the first time, I wondered if I'd been too quick to dismiss my own need for companionship. It was just a fleeting thought, easily brushed aside. But as I looked at Ethan, his face lit by the fading light, I felt a flicker of something unexpected, a longing, a yearning I hadn't felt in years. I told myself it was nothing, just bittersweet nostalgia. But deep down, I knew something had shifted. As the evening deepened, I couldn't shake the feeling this summer would be different. The days unfolded in a comfortable routine, filled with laughter, shared meals, the satisfying scrape of tools as Ethan repaired the storm-damaged sections of the house. I found myself looking forward to our mornings, sharing quiet coffee on the porch, watching the sunrise paint the sky. I never thought I'd feel this warmth again, growing with each day. It felt innocent at first, a spark of happiness, simple pleasure in company. Ethan was family, a nephew by marriage, someone I'd known since he was a boy. But now, as he worked shirtless in the summer heat, his tanned skin gleaming, I couldn't deny my feelings were more than affection. One afternoon, handing him lemonade, our hands brushed, lingering too long. He looked up, dark eyes meeting mine with an intensity that quickened my pulse. I looked away, pretending it was nothing, but the moment lingered, a quiet thrill, a rush of warmth. "Thanks, Aunt Eleanor," he said, voice soft. "Of course," I replied, voice steadier than I felt. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the lawn. We We sat in silence, lost in our own thoughts. I tried to ignore the flutter in my chest, my heart racing whenever he was near. Foolish, I told myself. This was David's nephew. I was a widow, nearing 70, just a passing fancy, a momentary lapse, but as days passed, I was drawn to him more. We shared quiet conversations by the ocean, discussing everything from his childhood memories to my years with David. Ethan listened intently, gaze warm, understanding. I felt a closeness I hadn't experienced in years. One evening, after a long day's work, we sat on the porch, watching stars appear in the darkening sky. Ethan poured wine, hand brushing mine as he passed the glass. "To summer," he said, raising his glass, smiling. "To summer," I replied, clinking glasses. We drank in silence, cool night air filled with crickets and the ocean's soft murmur. Warmth settled over me, contentment I hadn't felt in years. I glanced at Ethan, face lit by porch light, and for a moment felt an urge to reach out, touch his hand, bridge the small space between us. But I held back, telling myself it was the wine, loneliness playing tricks. Yet, as we sat there, silence filled with unspoken words, I couldn't shake the feeling this summer was leading somewhere unexpected, dangerous. It happened on a warm evening, sun painting the ocean gold, water shimmering with orange and pink. Ethan and I worked on the garden, laughing, teasing, easy companionship that felt natural and exhilarating. As the sun dipped, we sat on porch steps, sipping iced tea, watching colors dance on the water. I felt contentment, happiness that seemed too good to be true. Then, without thinking, I leaned over and kissed him. Soft, tentative, a gentle brush of lips that left me breathless. We froze, eyes wide with surprise and shock. Shame rushed through me, realizing what I'd done. The line crossed. But then Ethan leaned in, hand finding mine, kissing me back. In that moment, the world vanished. Only the warmth of his touch, sweetness of his lips, intensity of connection. Pure, undeniable emotion, culmination of everything we'd been feeling, too afraid to admit. But as quickly as it began, reality crashed down. I pulled away, heart racing, mind reeling. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me," I stammered, voice shaking. He looked at me, expression soft, understanding. "You don't have to apologize, Eleanor. We're both adults, just two people who care about each other." His words brought comfort, reassurance that maybe this wasn't as wrong as it seemed. But looking at him, I knew this kiss, this connection, was a secret, a moment just for us. Yet, lying in bed that night, reliving his lips on mine, I couldn't shake the thrill, the sense this summer was leading somewhere unimaginable. The kiss was a spark that refused to fade. Following days filled with unspoken words, lingering glances, stolen moments that intensified our connection. Every brush of his hand, every shared smile held a thrill, a forbidden promise we dared not speak aloud. Each day, Ethan and I fell deeper into a rhythm, thrilling and terrifying. We'd crossed a line, and though part of me knew it was wrong, the happiness I felt with him was undeniable. An energy, youthfulness in his presence made me feel alive again, like I hadn't since David was alive. We kept our relationship secret, knowing even a hint could unravel everything delicate we'd created. Secrecy added thrill, as if we were the only two in the world sharing this unspoken truth. One afternoon, after hours on the ocean in a small sailboat, we drifted back, laughter echoing across the water. Tying up, Ethan leaned in, hand brushing mine. Warmth, safety, excitement rushed through me. "Eleanor," he murmured, voice soft, "do you ever wonder if maybe we were meant to find each other like this?" The question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I looked into his eyes, searching for an answer, but felt only quiet certainty, a feeling that in grief and loneliness I'd found something unexpected. "Yes," I whispered, heart pounding. "I think maybe we were." But even as words left my lips, a pang of guilt, a shadow of doubt reminded me of the line crossed. This was David's nephew, someone who looked up to him, and I was his widow. Our connection fragile, forbidden. I knew if anyone found out, it would shatter everything. Yet, looking into Ethan's eyes, I couldn't let him go. Not yet. One evening, Ethan and I sat on the porch, lost in quiet conversation. A car in the driveway shattered our peace. I looked up, heart sinking, recognizing Maya stepping out. Panic surged. I hadn't expected her. Sudden arrival threw everything into chaos. Ethan glanced at me, face surprise and worry as we processed what this meant. "Mom!" Maya called, voice bright, approaching the porch. Thought I'd surprise you. Been too long since we spent time together. I forced a smile, hiding panic. Maya, this is a surprise. Wasn't expecting you. She smiled, gaze shifting to Ethan, standing beside me, expression neutral. And Ethan, didn't realize you'd be here too. Tension built as Ethan and I exchanged a quick glance. He's been helping with repairs, I said quickly, hoping to keep it light. Nice having company. Maya nodded, smile friendly but eyes sharp, as if sensing more. Well, that's great, Mom. Thought I'd spend a few days. You don't mind, do you? Of course not, I replied, forcing calm. Glad to have you here. But as evening settled, air heavy with unspoken words, tension simmering, I knew Maya's arrival complicated everything, that our secret would be harder to keep under her watchful gaze. Dread settled in, feeling this summer was about to take a turn I couldn't control. With Maya's arrival, our peaceful days became a delicate dance of secrecy and restraint. Ethan and I maintained distance, avoiding gestures or glances hinting at the truth. But tension built, longing simmering, harder to hide. Maya, observant as ever, seemed to sense the shift. She watched us, gaze lingering when Ethan and I exchanged smiles or shared a private joke. I told myself it was imagination, that she had no reason to suspect, but worry gnawed, a constant reminder our secret was fragile. One afternoon, preparing lunch, Maya joined me in the kitchen, tone casual. Mom, it's nice seeing you so happy. You seem different, more alive. I paused, her words striking a chord. Well, it's been a good summer. Having Ethan here has been helpful, kept me busy. She nodded, gaze thoughtful. You've been spending a lot of time with him, haven't you? The question felt loaded, tone too casual to be innocent. I forced a smile, deflecting suspicion. He's family, Maya. And after everything with your father, it's been nice having someone around who knew him, remembers him. Maya's expression softened, but I sensed lingering doubt. I understand, Mom. I want you to be careful. Sometimes loneliness can make us see things that aren't really there. Her words stung, veiled accusation cutting deeper than I admitted. I knew she was protecting me, keeping me from choices I might regret. But looking into her eyes, I felt guilt, a reminder I was keeping something from her, something that, if discovered, would devastate our relationship. As Maya left, I felt the secret's weight pressing down, a burden growing heavier. I knew if I wasn't careful, everything I held dear would crumble. Late evening, sky painted purple and deep blues as sun vanished. Maya had gone to bed early. Ethan and I were alone on the porch, soft nature sounds cocooning us in quiet. We sat in silence, hands brushing, leaning against railing, savoring peace. Risky, daring, but I couldn't help myself. Being close to him, a balm, comfort I couldn't deny. Then, as I leaned in, drawn by warmth, a sound broke silence. A creak from the house, then footsteps. I pulled back, heart racing, facing Maya in doorway, expression curiosity and faint suspicion. Mom? Ethan? She asked, tone neutral, tinged with something I couldn't place. What are you two doing out here? I struggled to steady my voice, feeling her gaze. Just enjoying the evening air, Maya. Beautiful night. She looked at us, eyes narrowing slightly, piecing together a puzzle. I see. Well, don't stay out too late. You'll catch a chill. As she turned back inside, I felt relief mixed with fear. We'd come dangerously close to exposing ourselves, revealing truth we fought to hide. Ethan squeezed my hand, touch silent reassurance. But I knew our secret was harder to keep, risk growing, walls closing in. I couldn't shake the feeling it was only time before everything unraveled. Tension between Maya and me grew daily, silent undercurrent neither dared address. I felt her watching, eyes sharp, searching as if waiting for me to slip, reveal something I wasn't ready to admit. Finally, one evening, in the living room, tension peaked. Maya looked at me, expression unreadable, voice steady. Mom, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Heart sank, knowing what was coming, powerless to stop it. Of course, Maya, you can ask me anything. She took a deep breath, gaze unwavering. Is there something going on between you and Ethan? The question hung in the air, sharp, unforgiving, cutting through silence. I looked away, mind racing, searching for words to explain, justify what I'd done. But as I opened my mouth, I realized no way to soften truth, make her understand my emotions. Yes, I admitted, voice barely a whisper. There is. Maya's face fell, mixture of shock, hurt, anger flashing. How could you, Mom? He's family, Dad's nephew. This is betrayal. I felt weight of her words, judgment in her tone, cutting deep. Maya, I didn't plan this. I was lonely after your father passed. There was a void, and Ethan, he filled that void in a way I didn't expect. But explanation did little to soften her anger. She stood, voice trembling. I can't believe you, Mom. I thought you were better than this. I don't even know who you are anymore. And with that, she left, leaving me alone in the wake of her words, painful realization my choices cost me the one relationship I'd always cherished. Silence in the house, suffocating after Maya stormed out. Slam of her bedroom door echoed, followed by heavy stillness. Weight of my decision hung in the air, filling every corner with oppressive tension. Walls closing in, pressing down with force of my mistake. Ethan found me later, expression etched with worry. He sat beside me, placing comforting hand on my shoulder. But even his presence felt different, more reminder of trouble we'd caused than solace he once brought. What happened? He asked softly, eyes searching mine. She knows, I replied, voice breaking. Couldn't lie to her anymore. Told her the truth about us. Words hung between us, confession I hadn't wanted to speak aloud. Ethan looked down, face guilt and sadness as he processed reality. I'm sorry, Eleanor, he murmured, voice barely audible. Didn't want this to hurt anyone. Neither did I. Yet here we were, sitting in ruins of a summer that once felt full of possibility, now overshadowed by our secret. I knew we'd reached point of no return. Our choices led us to no easy path forward. Maybe, I hesitated, voice trembling, maybe we should stop this, for Maya's sake, for all our sakes. Pain in Ethan's eyes unmistakable, but he nodded, understanding. If that's what you want, I care about you, Eleanor, but I'll respect whatever decision you make. A tear slipped down my cheek as I took his hand, feeling bittersweet weight of what we were saying. Letting him go was letting go of part of me that had come alive this summer, a part I wasn't ready to bury. But I knew if I wanted to mend things with Maya, I had to put her first, make the difficult choice to let go of something beautiful for someone I loved even more. Morning felt surreal, each action weighted with knowledge it was our last day together. Ethan and I moved in silence, packing his things, unspoken goodbye heavy in the air. I kept glancing at him, memorizing every detail, thoughtful expression, warmth in his eyes, kindness that drew me in. We didn't need to say much, understanding between us clear. This was the end of a chapter, written together, filled with laughter and connection, but also shadows of regret. As he packed the last of his things into SUV, he turned to me, gaze soft, sorrowful. Thank you, Eleanor, he said, voice breaking slightly, for everything. I managed a small smile, heart aching. No, thank you, Ethan. You reminded me there's still life to live. You helped me feel like myself again. We stood there, silence both comforting and excruciating. Then he leaned in, pressing gentle kiss to my forehead. A goodbye kiss, filled with all words we couldn't say, all things we couldn't be. As he drove away, I watched his SUV disappear down winding road, feeling hollow aches settle in my chest. I had chosen to let him go, and in doing so, chosen to mend fractures in my relationship with Maya. But the price felt steep, and I couldn't shake the feeling a part of me had been left on that road, driving away with him. When Maya emerged later that morning, face set, eyes wary, guarded, she'd spent the night in silence, processing confession I'd laid bare. I knew whatever she had to say would be difficult. She sat across from me, posture rigid, a wall between us that hadn't been there before. I waited, heart pounding, bracing for conversation I knew was coming. Mom, Maya began, voice cold. I don't know if I can ever forgive you for this. You betrayed Dad's memory, our family, everything I thought you stood for. Accusation cut deep, each word a reminder of shame. But I didn't argue. I knew she had right to her anger. My actions hurt her in ways I hadn't considered. I'm sorry, Maya, I replied softly, voice filled with regret. I never meant to hurt you. I was lonely. And Ethan, he filled a void I didn't know was there. It doesn't excuse anything, but I need you to understand it wasn't about betraying your father. It was about finding a part of myself I thought was gone. Maya's gaze softened slightly, but expression remained guarded. I understand loneliness, Mom, but that doesn't change what you did. You crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. And if you want any chance of rebuilding our relationship, you need to make sure this thing with Ethan is over. I nodded, feeling weight of her ultimatum. "It is over, Maya. I promise. He's gone." She looked at me, searching eyes for truth, before nodding slowly. "I'll try, Mom. I'll try to forgive you, but it's going to take time." Her words brought flicker of hope, promise that maybe one day we could find our way back, but I knew path ahead would be long, filled with regret and difficult conversations. As I sat watching her leave, I felt relief and sorrow, knowing my choice cost me something precious, but perhaps saved something even more valuable. With Ethan gone and Maya's guarded forgiveness, life at the house took on quieter, somber rhythm. The ocean, once filled with laughter and stolen glances, now felt like a mirror of my solitude, reminder of choices I'd made. I spent days reflecting, piecing together memories of years with David, reconciling love I shared with him with new feelings discovered this summer. One evening, I took out a journal, writing a letter to David, something I hadn't done in years, but words flowed easily, as if he sat beside me. "Dear David," I began, pen shaking slightly, pouring out my heart. "I wonder what you would think of all this, of choices I made, of love I found in your nephew. I hope you'd understand it wasn't about replacing you, it was about finding myself again, in a way I didn't know was possible." Letter filled with apologies and gratitude, confession of feelings kept buried. I thanked him for years shared, love given, memories lingering. But I also asked forgiveness for straying from path we once walked together. As I finished, peace settled over me. As if in writing those words, I'd finally found way to bridge past and present, accept both love shared with David and brief connection with Ethan. In weeks that followed, Maya and I took small steps rebuilding our relationship. We spoke about difficult emotions, betrayal, and hurt lingering between us. I opened up to her in ways I hadn't before, explaining loneliness leading me to Ethan, ways his presence helped me heal. At first, her responses cautious, hesitant, but gradually I saw softness return to her gaze, willingness to listen without judgment. Conversations filled with tears, moments of understanding, quiet forgiveness that comes from shared vulnerability. One afternoon, walking along the beach, Maya reached out, taking my hand. "Mom, I still don't understand everything, but I know you're human, that you have your own needs, your own pain. I can't promise I'll ever be okay with what happened, but I can promise to try." Her words brought rush of gratitude, relief we were finally moving toward healing. I squeezed her hand, heart swelling with love and renewed hope. "Thank you, Maya," I whispered, voice filled with emotion. That's all I could ever ask for. Summer ended, and with it, my time at the house. Memories of Ethan lingered, woven into fabric of the place, but I knew I had to let them go. Time to close this chapter, move forward with lessons learned, love felt, peace found in my decision. I packed up, placing David's favorite books and armchair cushion in a box, feeling bittersweet ache preparing to leave. The ocean, once filled with so many memories, now felt like a place of healing, reminder of love and loss that shaped me. Maya came to help pack, her presence comforting reminder that despite everything, we'd found our way back. As we locked up the house for last time, I felt closure, release from weight of past, and openness to whatever lay ahead. "Are you ready, Mom?" Maya asked, voice gentle. I looked at her, feeling newfound strength, quiet resilience. "Yes, Maya, I'm ready." And as we drove away from the ocean, leaving the house and its memories behind, I felt peace, knowing I'd finally found courage to live life on my own terms, carrying both love lost and love discovered, with grace and gratitude. Months later, settling into new routine back home, I felt renewed purpose. The house, once place of memories and mistakes, became symbol of resilience and growth I'd discovered. I kept in touch with Maya, our relationship growing stronger with each conversation, each shared moment. Looking back, I knew summer had been turning point, time of heartbreak and healing, lessons learned and love rediscovered. And though there were still moments of regret, I carried them lightly, knowing I'd face my mistakes with honesty, chosen love even when difficult, and emerged stronger for it. As I sat in quiet of my new home, watching sunset over city skyline, I felt calm, quiet certainty that life, with all its twists and turns, had led me exactly where I was meant to be.